Oremus, Aeterni Deus et clementissimi Pater, gratias tibi quam maximas agimus, quod nos affera et agresti vita ad artes ingenuas et scientiarum cognitionem deduxeris, quod domum nostram perpetua largitate et misericordia usque ad hunc diem prosecutus sis, quod viam nobis et veritatem et vitam in filio tuo indicaveris. A te, Pater petimus, ut servi tui graduandi, ab his perfecti initiis ad metam perfectionis adspirent, et nobis nostrae qui rei publicae laudi et ornamento esse possent. Tibi, Pater, Filio, et Spiritui Sancto, sit laus, honor et gloria, in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Amen.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Faculty of Science and by authority of the Senate, I present to you these graduates who have been found worthy to receive the high degree of Doctor of Science. Robin Graham Macready. Gordon Alexander Bryce Waddle. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Faculty of Science and by authority of the Senate, I present to you these graduates who have been found worthy to receive the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Margaret Isabel Archbuckle. Abul Kalam Azad. Stuart James Barrett. Stephen David Bell. Mohammed Cherif Fusena. Robert James Clark. Stephen Edward Coughlin. Anne Ogilvie Davidson. Maria Teresa Denheen. Alistair Thomas Gardner. Lorraine Stephen Garrick. Angela Barbara Garthrop. Anthony Derek Harland. Patrick William Jordan. Richard McCulloch. Morag McFarlane. Mokdad Mesna. Salome Kokushubila Mutayaba. Alistair Justice Nisbet. George Gordon Reid. Jacqueline Ellen Rice. Giancarlo Rizzi. Alan John Russell. Zohair Abdelaziz Sabur. Nasira Sabri. Janice Ann Smith. Richard David Taylor. Christopher James Thomas. Nadia Mohammed Wadi. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Faculty of Science and by authority of the Senate, I present to you these graduates who have been found worthy to receive the degree of Master of Science. Nazreem Aslam. Doaz Mata Karenga. Regina Yawapo Mukhandira. Magdalene Nandawula. Timothy Olubisi Odukoya. Claire Paula Sarah O'Rourke. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Faculty of Science and by authority of the Senate, I present to you these students who have fulfilled the conditions required by the ordinances and may now be admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science. With honours of the first class, Ewan Angus Ashley. Corinda Black. Barbara Brearley. Ian William Brown. Linda Brown. David Charles Budd. Alison Jane Campbell. Morag Mackenzie Campbell. Stuart Robert Cobb. Mark Connor. Alan Duncan. Nicola Louise Fernie. Gillian Margaret Fraser. Caroline Grahams. Tracy Ann Gray. Carol Greenlees. Alison Patricia Henderson. Robert John Howes. David Hulse. Nisha Jane. Roland Philip Albert Leslie.
Stuart Quattro.
Angela Claire McCormack,
Stuart Quattro.
Katrina Elizabeth Mackay,
Stuart Quattro.
Hector Alexander McLean,
Stuart Quattro.
Lindsay MacLeod,
Stuart Quattro.
Arap Kumar Malik,
Stuart Quattro.
Alistair Bruce Martin,
Stuart Quattro.
Ibrahim Rajib,
Stuart Quattro.
Scott Lyon Ramsey,
Stuart Quattro.
Susan Claire Robinson,
Stuart Quattro.
Janet Trapp Scott,
Stuart Quattro.
Thomas Robert Sharp,
Stuart Quattro.
Nicola Louise Walker,
Stuart Quattro.
Jason David Ward,
Stuart Quattro.
David James Williams,
Stuart Quattro.
and with honours of the second class, Homera Fahimida Binti Ali,
Stuart Quattro.
Nasir Salem Al Nazwani,
Stuart Quattro.
Derek William Angus,
Stuart Quattro.
Azim Ansari,
Stuart Quattro.
Elizabeth Armstrong,
Stuart Quattro.
Sarah Ann Armstrong,
Stuart Quattro.
Janet Wallace Baird,
Stuart Quattro.
Stephanie Baird,
Stuart Quattro.
Craig Scott Barker,
Stuart Quattro.
Alan Brian Patterson Barr,
Stuart Quattro.
Nicola Ann Beecham,
Stuart Quattro.
Suzanne Beestall,
Stuart Quattro.
Joanne Moncur Bell,
Stuart Quattro.
Cheryl Bennett,
Stuart Quattro.
Alan Biggett,
Stuart Quattro.
Paul Anthony Bigham,
Stuart Quattro.
James George Billsland,
Stuart Quattro.
John Blair,
Stuart Quattro.
Nicola Jane Blunt,
Stuart Quattro.
Simon Andrew Bower,
Stuart Quattro.
Colin Ross Bowers,
Stuart Quattro.
Paul Andrew Bradshaw,
Stuart Quattro.
Gabriella Louise Briggs,
Stuart Quattro.
Stephanie Jill Brindle,
Stuart Quattro.
Claire Brown,
Stuart Quattro.
Valerie Elizabeth Brown,
Stuart Quattro.
Lorna Jane Bruce,
Stuart Quattro.
Christopher Andrew Buchanan,
Stuart Quattro.
Ronald Neil Burns,
Stuart Quattro.
Trevor John Bushell,
Stuart Quattro.
Anna Caitlin Cahill,
Field Corporal.
Ewan James Fergus Cameron.
Field Corporal.
Paula Cameron.
Field Corporal.
Angus David Campbell.
Field Corporal.
Ian William Campbell.
Field Corporal.
Barry Allen Cardus.
Field Corporal.
Katrina Jane Carson.
Field Corporal.
Brian Hoy King Chan.
Field Corporal.
Christopher Cherrington.
Field Corporal.
Peter Stephen Chong.
Field Corporal.
Ailey Margaret Clark.
Field Corporal.
Jane Elizabeth Clark.
Field Corporal.
Diane Elizabeth Clayton.
Field Corporal.
Robert Allen Clayton.
Field Corporal.
Nicola Jeanette Coffey.
Field Corporal.
Abigail Ann Conley.
Field Corporal.
Jamison Alexander Copsey.
Field Corporal.
Carol Frances Craig.
Field Corporal.
Nicola Jane Craig.
Field Corporal.
Sarah Ann Margaret Crawford.
Field Corporal.
Scott Charles Cribbs.
Field Corporal.
John Andrew Curran.
Field Corporal.
Julie Margaret Curry.
Field Corporal.
Kirstine Dalrymple.
Field Corporal.
Andrew Vincent Daly.
Field Corporal.
Bruce McGregor Davidson.
Field Corporal.
Lee Helen Jane Dawson.
Field Corporal.
Leslie Mary Diaz.
Field Corporal.
Graham Alexander Duca.
Field Corporal.
Kamlesh Kumar Dev.
Field Corporal.
Leslie Alexandra Dickey.
Field Corporal.
Joanne Doherty.
Field Corporal.
Sharon Dolan.
Field Corporal.
Alison Mary Ina Dorans.
Field Corporal.
Nicola Ann Bubel.
Field Corporal.
Muriel Dunlop.
Field Corporal.
Angela Jane Dunn.
Field Corporal.
Fraser Richard Duffy.
Field Corporal.
Catherine Ann Elliott.
Field Corporal.
John Paul Eslick.
Field Corporal.
Alison Falconer.
Field Corporal.
Tona Catherine Fernandez Ares.
Field Corporal.
Alan Fisher.
Field Corporal.
Donald MacDonald Fowler.
Field Corporal.
Michael Daniel Gallagher.
Three quarter.
Lorna Margaret Gibson,
Three quarter.
Katrina Campbell Glover,
Three quarter.
Morven Alison Greer,
Three quarter.
Joseph Vincenzo Guadagno,
Three quarter.
Oliver James Gubby,
Three quarter.
Thang Soo Han,
Three quarter.
Brian Half,
Three quarter.
Gillian Margaret Harold,
Three quarter.
Robert Mingus Ross Hearn,
Three quarter.
Alistair James Henderson,
Three quarter.
Stephen Robert Henderson,
Three quarter.
Paul Higgins,
Three quarter.
Georgina Forbes Honor,
Three quarter.
Judy Isabel Howard,
Three quarter.
Claire Elizabeth Hughes,
Three quarter.
Valerie Shona Hines,
Three quarter.
Catherine Lindsay Innes,
Three quarter.
Lorraine Bell Irvin,
Three quarter.
Ewan Samuel Jack,
Three quarter.
Nargis Iqbal Jaffrey,
Three quarter.
Michelle Jeffrey,
Three quarter.
Nicola Kemp,
Three quarter.
Fiona Effie Janet Kempsell,
Three quarter.
Patricia Kidd,
Three quarter.
Emma Jane Kinghorn,
Three quarter.
Stephen Alexander Kirk,
Three quarter.
Ian William Lane,
Three quarter.
Julie Hamilton Lane,
Three quarter.
Russell David Lees,
Three quarter.
Stella Lemaitre,
Three quarter.
Tanya Love,
Three quarter.
Margaret Anderson Brownlee MacArthur,
Three quarter.
Carol Ann Macaulay,
Three quarter.
Alan Edward McCluskey,
Three quarter.
Robin John McConnell,
Three quarter.
Katrina McCormack,
Three quarter.
Andrew Alexander McCready,
Three quarter.
Derek Arthur McCulloch,
Three quarter.
Alistair Maxwell MacDonald,
Three quarter.
Bernadette Catherine MacDonald,
Three quarter.
Emma Jane MacDonald,
Three quarter.
Karen MacDonald,
Three quarter.
Ailey McGarry,
Three quarter.
John Edward McGeehan,
Kate Watson.
Kirsty Maguire,
Kate Watson.
Fiona Jane McInnes,
Kate Watson.
Gillian Mora McInnes,
Kate Watson.
Catherine Jane McIntosh,
Kate Watson.
Gillian Clare Mackay,
Kate Watson.
Catherine Louise Mackey,
Kate Watson.
Fiona Nancy McCurdy,
Kate Watson.
James Stephen McLean,
Kate Watson.
Anne Prentice McLaren,
Kate Watson.
Susan Rachel Ann McLaren,
Kate Watson.
Andrew George McLean,
Kate Watson.
Kelly Owen McClellan,
Kate Watson.
Linda Ann McClune,
Kate Watson.
Jonathan Graham McNairn,
Kate Watson.
Tracy Ann Christine McNamara,
Kate Watson.
Benedict Martin Joseph McGill,
Kate Watson.
Claire Merowyn Maguire,
Kate Watson.
Judith Ann McComb,
Kate Watson.
Kevin James Marchbank,
Kate Watson.
Gail Marshall,
Kate Watson.
Heather Christine Martin,
Kate Watson.
Anne Louise Ruth Masson,
Kate Watson.
Josephine Mendoza,
Kate Watson.
Anna Lee Milligan,
Kate Watson.
Stephen Thomas Minnis,
Kate Watson.
Hemlata Mistry,
Kate Watson.
Mansur Ahmed Mohammed,
Kate Watson.
Paula Jane Monaghan,
Kate Watson.
Stavros Maraitis,
Kate Watson.
Andrew Christopher Morrison,
Kate Watson.
Wendy Morton,
Kate Watson.
Wendy Hamilton Morton,
Kate Watson.
Ailey Lindsay Migo,
Kate Watson.
Ian Alexander Murray,
Kate Watson.
Joan Murray,
Kate Watson.
Carol Joan Needham,
Kate
Christopher Charles Norbury,
Kate Watson.
Melanie Oates,
Kate Watson.
Nicola Ann O'Donnell,
Kate Watson.
John James Mallon O'Dowd,
Kate Watson.
Barry Catherine Ogilvy,
Kate Watson.
Claire Elizabeth O'Hagan,
Kate Watson.
Debbie Pearson,
Kate Watson.
Christine Kim Picozzi,
Kate Watson.
Kenneth John Price,
Dave Corcoran.
Christopher Stephen Pyle.
Dave Corcoran.
Marlin Quigg.
Dave Corcoran.
Teresa Sarah Rafferty.
Dave Corcoran.
Judith Margaret Ramage.
Dave Corcoran.
Alexander James Ramsey.
Dave Corcoran.
Julie Taylor Ramsey.
Dave Corcoran.
Alan Alexander Reed.
Dave Corcoran.
Anne Riley.
Dave Corcoran.
Jamie Christian Horatio Ribbons.
Dave Corcoran.
Julie Ann Margaret Rigby.
Dave Corcoran.
Shona Ann Robertson.
Dave Corcoran.
Shona Elizabeth Robertson.
Dave Corcoran.
Emma Jane Rochelle Newell.
Dave Corcoran.
Stephen John Rowan.
Dave Corcoran.
Andrew Fraser Russell.
Dave Corcoran.
Gregor Russell.
Dave Corcoran.
Samantha Louise Ryan.
Dave Corcoran.
Sukhinder Sandhu.
Dave Corcoran.
Melanie Kim Sargent.
Dave Corcoran.
David John Robertson Scott.
Dave Corcoran.
Susan Amanda Scott.
Dave Corcoran.
Ronald James Seago.
Dave Corcoran.
Sharmila Wasif Shah.
Dave Corcoran.
Deepak Kumar Sharma.
Dave Corcoran.
Jane Hilary Sinclair.
Dave Corcoran.
Richard Harris Sinclair.
Dave Corcoran.
Marina Elaine Smith.
Dave Corcoran.
Helen Michelle Snodin.
Dave Corcoran.
Laura Suter.
Dave Corcoran.
Mary Susan Suthon.
Dave Corcoran.
Gregor James Steele.
Dave Corcoran.
Margaret Steele.
Dave Corcoran.
Fiona Jane Steele.
Dave Corcoran.
Grant Richardson Stenton.
Dave Corcoran.
Rebecca Jane Stevenson.
Dave Corcoran.
Sally Ann Stewart.
Dave Corcoran.
Andrew John Struthers.
Dave Corcoran.
Fiona Margaret Sutherland.
Dave Corcoran.
Eileen Swan.
Dave Corcoran.
Bente Siri Sievertsen.
Dave Corcoran.
Julie Troughton.
Dave Corcoran.
Cam War Sang.
Dave Corcoran.
Janet Barbara Wallace.
Dave Corcoran.
Deborah Ann Walsh.
Dave Corcoran.
Y. Yan Wong,
Bill Corcoran,
Fiona Stewart White,
Bill Corcoran,
Karen Williams,
Bill Corcoran,
Ailey Williamson,
Bill Corcoran,
Craig Stewart Wilson,
Bill Corcoran,
David John Alexander Wilson,
Bill Corcoran,
Zoe Claire Wilson,
Bill Corcoran,
Philip David Ray,
Bill Corcoran,
Kirsten Freesia Young,
Bill Corcoran,
and with honours of the third class, Simon James Bundy,
Bill Corcoran,
Yvonne Elizabeth Gorton,
Bill Corcoran,
Robert Matthew McKinley,
Bill Corcoran,
Robert Henry Stitt,
Bill Corcoran,
and for the ordinary degree, Leslie Kim Adams,
Bill Corcoran,
Zainab Ghazi Al Naqshbandi,
Bill Corcoran,
Vanit Bahanda,
Bill Corcoran,
Craig John Barnstaple,
Bill Corcoran,
Nalia Bashkaran,
Bill Corcoran,
Alison Frances Beadle,
Bill Corcoran,
James Hugh Beaton,
Bill Corcoran,
Amy Borland,
Bill Corcoran,
Neil Cameron Broadley,
Bill Corcoran,
Linda Ann Buckley,
Bill Corcoran,
Paul Campbell,
Bill Corcoran,
Salvatore Adriedo Emilio Sentonzi,
Bill Corcoran,
Tariq Ismail Chisti,
Bill Corcoran,
Ian James Clark,
Bill Corcoran,
Claire Joanne Coogans,
Bill Corcoran,
Susan Curran,
Bill Corcoran,
Mark Mackenzie Davidson,
Bill Corcoran,
Gillian Elizabeth Mary Doherty,
Bill Corcoran,
Neil Fraser Doherty,
Bill Corcoran,
Thomas Elliott,
Bill Corcoran,
Bernadette Mary Flynn,
Bill Corcoran,
Anthony Ennis Gallagher,
Bill Corcoran,
Claire Patricia Gallagher,
Bill Corcoran,
Nicola Jane Gallagher,
Bill Corcoran,
Lewis Adam Gardner,
Bill Corcoran,
Alan Stewart Gibb,
Bill Corcoran,
Claire Elizabeth Munoz Gillis,
Bill Corcoran,
Teresa Michelle Gilman,
Bill Corcoran,
Paula Grace Hardy,
Bill Corcoran,
Deborah Christine Houston,
Bill Corcoran,
Yehan Afsad Hussain,
Corcoran.
David Alexander Irving,
J. Corcoran.
Christine Izet,
J. Corcoran.
Michael David Johnston,
J. Corcoran.
Sarah Kelly,
J. Corcoran.
Rebecca Sarah King,
J. Corcoran.
Kenneth Spears Kinnan,
J. Corcoran.
Shona Ann Kirkpatrick,
J. Corcoran.
Susan Adele Lang,
J. Corcoran.
Richard Michael Lynch,
J. Corcoran.
Cameron Macaulay,
J. Corcoran.
Leslie McBride,
J. Corcoran.
Pamela McFarlane,
J. Corcoran.
Paul Dominic McGeechan,
J. Corcoran.
John Anthony McGee, Lorraine
J.
Margaret
Corcoran.
McGill,
J.
Stephen McGuican,
J. Corcoran.
Carol Maguire,
J. Corcoran.
David Andrew McIntosh,
J. Corcoran.
Barry Ann McIver,
J. Corcoran.
David John McKenna,
J. Corcoran.
Andrew John Mackenzie,
J. Corcoran.
Stuart Alistair Mackenzie,
J. Corcoran.
Darrell Shaw McKillian,
J. Corcoran.
Paul Joseph McLaughlin,
J. Corcoran.
Linda McVeigh,
J. Corcoran.
June Lynn Helen Manderson,
J. Corcoran.
Julie Margaret Maxwell,
J. Corcoran.
Roussel Meldrum,
J. Corcoran.
Debbie Miller, Tabassum
Corcoran.
Parveen Mohammed,
J. Corcoran.
Sonia Joanne Morris,
J. Corcoran.
Kenneth James David Morrison,
J. Corcoran.
Sabina Nath,
J. Corcoran.
Thomas Sean O'Diniu,
J. Corcoran.
David Roy Orsi,
J. Corcoran.
Avijit Paul,
J. Corcoran.
Natalie Pediani,
J. Corcoran.
Kevin Alex Simpson Petrie,
J. Corcoran.
Nicholas Lloyd Portwin,
J. Corcoran.
Narinda Kaur Puiwal,
J. Corcoran.
Alan James Robertson,
J. Corcoran.
Leslie Rosemary Robertson,
J. Corcoran.
Robert Ross,
J. Corcoran.
Leslie Margaret Rowan,
Ray Cochran.
Kevin James Russell.
Ray Cochran.
Nassim Mohammed Siddiq.
Ray Cochran.
Angus McLean Smith.
Ray Cochran.
Philip Stewart Struthers.
Ray Cochran.
Paul David Swallow.
Ray Cochran.
Joseph Travers.
Ray Cochran.
Dean Kevin Wigglesworth.
Ray Cochran.
Ross Andrew White.
Ray Cochran.
Helen Ann Winton.
Ray Cochran.
Robert Wolfe.
Ray Cochran.
Mark Stewart Miller Ewell.
Ray Cochran.
Principal, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome those of you who are visitors to the university today. A very warm welcome to you. Now, the most important message that I have to give to you today was handed to me as I came in, and that is to tell you that when I finish speaking and we've filed out of the hall, that graduates and their relatives are invited to sherry in the Hunter Hall West. Now, if the relatives and family don't know where the Hunter Hall West is, I can assure you that your sons and daughters will be well familiar with the Hunter Hall West as being one of the examination halls. So follow them if they're willing to go there yet again. Although this is the second time the principal has asked me to give a graduation address, I confess that I'm again feeling a little apprehensive. A reminiscence may explain why. My first boss as a young research scientist working for the Medical Research Council in London was Frank Hawking. None of you will know of Frank, but most of you will know of his son, Stephen Hawking, mathematician, theoretical physicist, author of the bestseller A Brief History of Time. As a member of Frank's division, I gave my first talk about my research at a meeting in Leeds. I was the last speaker before lunch. My talk concluded, the audience of about 200 rose from their seats, and a voice, Frank's voice, rang out over the heads from the back of the room. "Phillips," that's me, "Phillips, I recommend you take public speaking lessons." In the modern parlance, we would call that quality assessment, and I wasn't assessed very highly. Frank has long since passed on, not at my hands, I should say, but by natural causes. But on occasions like this, I can feel his spirit lurking at the back of the hall. My congratulations to all the graduates. You have worked hard and deserve your success. Some of you have, in the process, triumphed over particular difficulties. For a few, your progress would have been speedier, but for some aberrations by the examiners. May you enjoy further success, be it in further education or in your first job. And if the latter is proving elusive, may your search be a short one. Some of you are returning to countries distant from here. We hope you've enjoyed your stay. I know your welcome in the university will have been a very warm and friendly one. A word of thanks to your supporters on your behalf. Your encouragement, no doubt sometimes your forbearance, have been invaluable along the way. This year is a special one for all of us, both an end and a beginning. You've completed a degree and you're going on to other things. I complete my stint as Dean, and all being well, I shall be able to go back to the things that I'm good at, like research. And this year is the centenary of the Faculty of Science. Our centenary officially fell on June the 5th, and it's appropriate on this occasion that I say a little bit about the establishment of the faculty. The study of science, of course, antedates the birth of the faculty. Prior to 1893, the physical and mathematical sciences were taught in the Faculty of Arts, and chemistry and biology were the responsibility of medicine. Amongst the notable figures in the early days, James Watt is perhaps the best known. He was employed as an instrument maker and repairer. Curiously, the BSc degree, which many of you received today, was instituted before the faculty in 1872. The faculties of science in Edinburgh, in Aberdeen and Glasgow were established by ordinance of the commissioners who were appointed under the 1889 University Scotland Act. Of the 16 commissioners, it's appropriate to note that amongst them was the third Marquess of Bute, whose benefaction we can appreciate if we sit in this beautiful hall, the Bute Hall, which is named after him. Another, Sir Arthur Mitchell, was, among other things, a Scottish commissioner in lunacy, and I'm sure this specific expertise was particularly useful in dealing with academics and academic matters. I'm not sure if the principal was nodding then as a man who came into academia later on in his working life. Not all the university was initially in favour of the formation of the faculty. The Faculty of Arts could see their very firm grip on the purse strings being loosened. A loss of funds to science is a situation about which our colleagues in arts are still concerned. In 1893, there were 8 professors in the Faculty of Science, supported by 5 lecturers and 12 assistants. Today, the teaching staff is close to 290. At the turn of the century, 7 students graduated in pure science. Today, the figure is more than 100 times that. Last year, we enrolled nearly 940 new students into the science faculty. The range of subjects on offer changed little between 1893 and 1945, but in the 1950s and 60s, further divisions of departments, especially in the biological sciences, occurred, with the establishment of new chairs in genetics, cell biology, and others. And today, 27 departments contribute to the teaching of science, and we are the largest science-based university in the UK outside London. Another recommendation of the 16 commissioners was that women should be able to matriculate, and the first women matriculated in the session 1892-93. The council of the nearby Queen Margaret College decided that the education of their women was best provided by Glasgow University, albeit for some time afterwards they continued to be taught separately at Queen Margaret College, a building that was sold by the university to the BBC in 1935. The first female BSc graduate, Ruth Pirrett, graduated in 1898. Well, that's enough history. Let me move forward to today and comment on 1 or 2 contemporary issues which are facing the faculty. And first, a comment on the career structure for our young scientists, something I think of interest to you. Our principal remit in the faculty is to train the scientists of the future. We are training more students with relatively fewer resources, and the methods we use and the results we achieve are coming under close scrutiny. We believe that teaching these students, particularly at the honours level, is best achieved in an environment of active research. Not only does this ensure that the teaching includes the latest developments, but also exposes the student to the intellectual excitement and thrill of discovery. How do we preserve this research environment across the Faculty of Science, a faculty with such a long tradition of excellence in research, against a background of research funding which is becoming much more focused and restricted in its distribution? Some feel that the logical outcome of selective research funding is for teaching and research to become organised separately. Research will organise, it is thought, more effectively around research groups, research units, research schools and research institutes, all on the university campus. The small units within departments and the larger as separate entities, each provided with good facilities and presenting opportunities for collaboration between the disciplines. And where does the young researcher and his or her career fit into this picture? The present setup of academic life means that many of our able people are facing up to their fourth or fifth decade of life, employed on short-term contracts if they're lucky, and out of work if they are not. How can you fulfill your potential when you're constantly worrying about the next contract? What a waste of energy, what a waste of talent. Academic life offers no rich financial rewards. For the young scientists, the rewards have to be the opportunity to demonstrate and realize their potential, to have stability and time to learn and apply their craft, and establish their credentials to the point when they are leaders of a team rather than a member of one. This implies that the career track should be clearly defined and secure, providing that reasonable but still demanding targets of achievement are met. No resting on your laurels after a probationary period is complete, but we must shrink from selling the value of a longer-term commitment to an individual as only a secure meal ticket. I believe our research and teaching base are both best served by a staff who, for the most part, only assume the range of duties of an academic post after a fulfilling period of 5 to 10 years given over largely to research. I had 6 years of full-time research after my PhD before I came to this university, and notwithstanding my friend Frank Hawking, it was a very formative and exciting period. Currently, such a route is regrettably only open to a small proportion of our young colleagues who win themselves a fellowship from the Royal Society, the research councils and others. The government's white paper on science and technology, Realising Our Potential, will be reflected on tomorrow by my colleague, Vice Principal Professor Armour. I'd like to make just one or two comments on it. It recognises a role for government as a major funder of basic research, work in part traditionally carried out in the universities. But this is to be married with a mission for wealth creation and directed research. They do not sit easily together. The nation, of course, cannot afford an infinite amount of basic research. We have to pay our way, and a balance has to be struck. The problem is that this future is largely unknown. Progress is slow and unpredictable. Further, not all the services that science provides for society bring financial reward. My own research in understanding the mechanisms of immunity to malaria parasites, the most important of tropical parasitic disease, may contribute to the development of a vaccine against this disease. No one is ever going to make any money out of such a vaccine for the simple reason that those in need cannot afford to buy it. Horace Walpole coined the word serendipity, the ability, the facility of making fortunate, unexpected discoveries by accident. He coined it after the three princes of Serendip, characters in a fairy tale. Scientific advances have been well served by following this example of the three princes. There are many examples. 3 years ago, when giving this address, I recounted how serendipity had played its part in the development of chloroquine, an antimalarial drug which has and continues to save many lives from the disease. This address last year was given by Professor John Gillespie from the Pharmacology Department. And some of you may have seen a Horizon programme on BBC just 2 or 3 weeks ago about the chemical nitric oxide, a molecule which today is known to have a multitude of very important biological roles. It's one of those chemicals which in the right amounts is good for us, but in excess can be very harmful. And the programme showed how, in the early 1970s, John and his colleagues' curiosity about, so how I can put this to a family audience, about how a bull springs into action at the sight of a cow, led to the discovery of nitric oxide. And 20 years on, the knowledge that an excess of nitric oxide can, among other things, cause a loss of blood pressure is used to save lives. Will-directed research and wealth creation allows serendipity to cast its spell as it should. The White Paper promotes a new campaign to spread understanding of science and technology in schools and among the public, and we welcome this. Science is not seen as part of our culture. When did most of our politicians, senior civil servants, and senior managers last have any contact with science? Science in some courses is seen as dangerous. Education can only help. And that brings me back to the centenary. We are marking the occasion by a number of exciting events in September, between the 18th and the 26th of September. And it's aimed at telling the general public of all ages about what the Faculty of Science in this university is doing. And I hope that some of you will be able to join us in those celebrations. 2 excellent books about the faculty are on sale today. And if you've not already bought your copies, I hope you'll buy several copies before you leave this afternoon. I finish with 2 quotations. Oscar Wilde said, "Education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing that is worth knowing can be taught." There is an anonymous saying, "Education is what you have left over after you have forgotten everything you have learned." The essence of these quotations is that we have taught you many facts, but you have learnt much more besides to equip you for the future. Above all, we have taught you to think for yourselves. You must use this. Good luck, good health, keep a sense of humour, keep in touch with us. We always ask all our graduates to do that, and very few of us do it, but it's increasingly important that we know how you get on. And when you prosper in your future careers, the university, Glasgow University, your alma mater, may well be in touch with you to help us get over the stony ground that undoubtedly is ahead in the rest of this decade and beyond. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Gratia Domini Nostri Jesu Christi, et caritas Dei, et communicatio Spiritus Sancti, sint cum omnibus vobis. Amen.